Rain hammered the windshield as Daniel Carter tightened his grip on the steering wheel. The parking lot of Hawthorne Technologies was nearly empty now, the office lights slowly turning off one by one. It had been another long night. Daniel leaned back in his seat and checked the time on his phone. 10:47 p.m. Too late. His 6-year-old daughter, Lily, was probably already asleep at home with Mrs. Henderson, the elderly neighbor who watched her whenever Daniel had to work late. Being a single father wasn't easy, but Daniel had learned to live with the exhaustion. He started the engine and prepared to drive home when he noticed movement near the building entrance. Someone was stumbling down the steps. At first Daniel thought it might be a security guard, but then the streetlight illuminated her face. It was Sophia Bennett, one of the company's senior marketing executives, and she looked like she could barely stand. Sophia leaned against the wall, struggling to unlock her phone. Her heels slipped on the wet pavement as she tried to walk. Daniel frowned. He had seen her at the office party earlier that evening. She hadn't planned to drink that much, but the clients had kept ordering rounds. Now she looked completely drunk. Daniel hesitated. He didn't really know Sophia personally. They worked in different departments. She was successful, confident, and well-known in the company. Daniel, on the other hand, was just a quiet logistics manager trying to raise his daughter and survive each month. Still, he couldn't just leave her like this. Daniel stepped out of the car. "Sophia?" he called gently. She turned slowly, squinting through the rain. "Daniel, right?" Her voice was slurred. "You're still here?" Daniel nodded. "Yeah, I was about to leave. Are you okay?" Sophia laughed weakly.
"I'm fantastic."
She immediately lost her balance and grabbed the railing. Daniel rushed forward. "Easy." He steadied her before she could fall. Sophia sighed. "Okay, maybe not fantastic." Daniel glanced around the empty parking lot. "Did you call a ride?" She waved her phone lazily. "I tried, but the app keeps spinning." Her screen was cracked and barely responding. Daniel thought for a moment. Then he said the words that would change everything. "I can drive you home." Sophia blinked slowly. "You don't have to do that. It's not safe for you to stay here like this," Daniel replied calmly. The rain was getting heavier. After a moment, Sophia nodded. "Okay, thank you." Daniel helped her into the passenger seat of his car. She leaned back and closed her eyes as he started driving. The silence inside the car was peaceful except for the rain tapping against the windows. After a few minutes, Sophia spoke again. "You're a single dad, right?" Daniel glanced at her. "Yeah. How did you know?" She smiled faintly. "You have a picture of a little girl on your dashboard." Daniel looked at Lily's photo taped near the radio. His heart softened. "That's my daughter. She's beautiful," Sophia murmured. Another silence passed. Then Sophia whispered something unexpected. "My husband used to drive me home like this too." Daniel didn't respond. Something in her voice sounded sad. 10 minutes later, they arrived at a large modern house in a quiet neighborhood. Daniel parked the car and helped Sophia out. Lights were on inside. Sophia rang the doorbell. Footsteps approached. The door opened. A tall man stood there. His eyes moved from Sophia to Daniel, and his expression changed instantly. Not anger, not jealousy, something else, something far more shocking. The man suddenly smiled. Then he said the last thing Daniel expected to hear. "Thank God you brought her home." Daniel blinked in confusion, but the next words the man spoke would change Daniel's life forever. "You must be Daniel Carter." Daniel froze. He had never met this man before. So how did he know his name? Daniel stood frozen on the porch, rain dripping from his jacket. Sophia leaned against the doorframe, trying to keep her balance. But Daniel wasn't looking at her anymore. His eyes were fixed on the man standing in the doorway. The man looked calm, almost relieved. "You must be Daniel Carter," he repeated. Daniel frowned.
I'm sorry.
Have we met?" The man shook his head slowly.
No.
"But I know who you are." Daniel's confusion deepened. Behind him, thunder rumbled in the distance. Sophia groaned softly and rubbed her temple. "Ethan, please don't start anything tonight." So that was his name. Ethan. Her husband stepped aside to let them in. "Come inside. It's pouring out there." Daniel hesitated. Every instinct told him this situation was strange. But leaving Sophia on the porch wasn't an option. He helped her walk inside. The house was beautiful. Warm lighting, modern furniture, a quiet elegance that spoke of success. Sophia collapsed gently onto the couch. Ethan walked to the kitchen and returned with a glass of water. "Drink," he told her softly. She obeyed like someone who had done this before. Daniel stood awkwardly near the doorway. "I should probably go," he said, but Ethan raised a hand. "Wait." Daniel paused. Ethan studied him carefully. "You drove her home. That means a lot." "It was nothing," Daniel replied. "She shouldn't be driving like that." Ethan nodded slowly. "Still, not everyone would help." Sophia suddenly laughed weakly. "You're both acting like I almost died." Ethan gave her a look. "You could have." She rolled her eyes but didn't argue. Daniel shifted his weight. "Look, I really should get home. My daughter." "Lily," Ethan said. Daniel's heart skipped a beat. "What?" "Your daughter, Lily Carter, 6 years old." Daniel's stomach tightened. "How do you know that?" Ethan sighed and leaned against the kitchen counter. "This is going to sound strange." "That's an understatement," Daniel replied. Sophia looked between them, confused. "What are you two talking about?" Ethan ignored the question. Instead, he walked toward Daniel and extended his hand. "My name is Ethan Bennett." Daniel shook it cautiously. "I know." Ethan took a breath. "I also know you used to be a pilot." Daniel's body went rigid. That wasn't information most people knew. He had left that life years ago. "How did you?" "You flew rescue helicopters," Ethan continued calmly. 5 years in the Air Force. Sophia sat up slowly now. "Wait, Daniel was in the military." Daniel's voice hardened. "Okay, that's enough." He stepped back. "How do you know all this?" For a moment Ethan didn't answer. Then he walked to a drawer in the living room and pulled out a thin folder. He handed it to Daniel. "Because I've been looking for you." Daniel stared at the folder. His name was written on the front. His pulse quickened as he opened it. Inside were documents, old photos, military records, employment history, even a picture of Lily playing in the park. Daniel's blood ran cold. "What the hell is this?" Sophia looked horrified. "Ethan, why do you have a file on my coworker?" Ethan's expression wasn't threatening. It was serious, almost desperate. "I needed to find the right person." Daniel slammed the folder shut. "You've been spying on me?"
No.
"Then explain this." Ethan looked him straight in the eyes. "I've been trying to hire you." Daniel blinked. "What?" "For months," Ethan continued. "But you kept declining the offers." "I never got any offers." Ethan tilted his head. "Not directly." Sophia rubbed her forehead. "I'm way too drunk for this conversation." Daniel ignored her. "Hire me for what?" Ethan's voice lowered. "For something only you can do." Daniel crossed his arms. "I work in logistics now. I don't fly anymore." "That's the problem," Ethan said. "You should." The room went silent. Daniel felt a familiar tension in his chest. A past he had buried long ago was suddenly standing in front of him. "I quit flying for a reason," he said quietly. Ethan nodded. "I know." Daniel narrowed his eyes. "Do you?" Ethan's answer came like a hammer. "You blame yourself for the crash in Alaska." Sophia gasped. Daniel felt the air leave his lungs. He hadn't spoken about that accident in years. "Get out of my head," Daniel said coldly. But Ethan shook his head. "That crash wasn't your fault. You weren't there." "No," Ethan admitted. "But I know what really happened." Daniel's fists clenched. "You don't know anything." Ethan took a slow breath. "Daniel, I need a pilot." Daniel didn't respond. "I need someone who can fly through storms," Ethan continued. "Someone who can make impossible landings. Someone who won't panic under pressure." Daniel felt the old memories creeping back. Rotor blades screaming in the wind. Ice forming on the cockpit glass. The sound of metal tearing apart. "I'm not that person anymore," he said quietly. Ethan stepped closer. "Yes, you are." Daniel shook his head. "I have a daughter. I'm not risking my life again." Ethan's voice softened. "This isn't about money." "Then what is it about?" Ethan looked at Sophia for a moment, then back at Daniel, and what he said next changed the entire night. "It's about saving someone." Daniel frowned. "Who?" Ethan's answer was barely above a whisper. "My sister." Sophia looked shocked. "You told me she died." Ethan nodded slowly. "That's what everyone thinks." Daniel's mind raced. "So she's alive?" Ethan swallowed. "Barely." Daniel felt the tension building again. "What does that have to do with me?" Ethan's eyes hardened. "She's trapped in a place no rescue team can reach." Daniel's heart began to pound. "And you think I can get there?" Ethan didn't hesitate. "I know you can." The room fell silent again. Outside, thunder cracked across the sky. Daniel looked at the photo of Lily still taped inside the folder. His daughter. His entire world. Flying again meant risking everything. But if Ethan was telling the truth, someone's life depended on it. Sophia suddenly spoke, her voice softer now. "Daniel." He looked at her. "You saved me tonight," she said. Her eyes were clear despite the alcohol. "Maybe this is your chance to save someone else too." Daniel didn't answer, but deep inside, the pilot he thought was gone forever had just begun to wake up again.